Welcome everybody to episode 24 of the Ink Panels Graphic Novel Book Club. It's been 2 years. I can't believe when Gambit and I started this as a fucking joke, we hit 2 years. Literally, we just kept talking about our read piles and we're like, you know what? Let's start a show that'll make us go through it.
And we've talked about everything except our read piles.
Pretty much. And then like almost directly right before year one ended, we added Jennifer, and we've continued to like pull out new books and kind of challenge our reading, like stuff that normally we would not. And today's book definitely is one that, had she not picked it as her book, I'm not sure it would have even, I would never showed up in any bookstore I have locally. I can tell you that being in Florida, I never would have fucking seen this book.
Yeah.
So like always, we have our normal three. Myself, Gambit's Inc., very busy with tattooing, and you have a card set from Dynamite called Die, Namite.
Yes.
And your sketch cards were focused very prominently on the previous solicitation.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. It's like I leveled up just a little bit, you know.
And then we have Jennifer, Comics Will Break Your Heart, with us, who you're almost at 700 subs now.
I am.
That's awesome.
It's weird.
Awesome.
I don't know. Yeah. You can find me
Everywhere.
tomorrow, Sunday. Well, you can find me tomorrow. I do a live stream on Sundays, and we shit talk and we talk about all sorts of nasty things and like true comic book journalistic professionals, man.
And also next week, we are talking to Carla Nappi next Saturday night.
Yeah.
July 3rd.
Absolutely fantastic. If you haven't picked up Duplicant, please pick it up. And I think Carla Nappi said that issue 2 is supposed to come out.
Issue 3.
Week?
Issue 3 has a solicitation that's out, but issue 1 and 2 are out. You can get in digital or order through one of your fine LCSs if you have a fine LCS that actually orders what you ask them to.
And if you don't, I have a couple of fine LCSs, including Books with Pictures here in Portland, who is absolutely fantastic.
And we are joined by Scott. Tell them a little bit about yourself. Your Dune stuff is what got Jen and I kind of on your radar.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just I'm a web developer by day, but then at night and on the off time, I've done art my whole life. Last year when I was stuck inside, I said, well, I should try and do more. So I did. I've been doing Inktober every year, and last year I did Dunetober. There was a few other people that did Dunetober, but some people noticed, and I really appreciate the support on that, and was convinced to make a little zine out of it. And so I hope to do more stuff like that this year. Maybe make some more zines, maybe make some mini comics. I don't know, but yeah.
You can check it over for Jen and I all the time.
Nice.
So Jennifer, if you'd like to introduce the book.
Yeah. So part of the reason why I chose this one specifically for this month, if you didn't know, it's Pride Month, y'all. Not that there should be a reason why you need to read a book like this, because I feel like this is a very pertinent book. But it goes through the author, Maia Kobabe, and I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly, and the journey that A went through with exploring gender and basically what gender means and what it doesn't mean, and Air's journey through that. This is a very, I don't want to say fun read, because it's definitely got some tense moments. There are lots of very like quiet introspective moments, but it was very powerful. Even for me, who I consider myself one of those social justice warriors and will yell at people for not using correct pronouns, and even this book kind of was an eye-opener for me. So yeah.
This for me was interesting because I've never had anybody in my life going through finding their gender identity like in this book, where you're going through the journey with Maia of, am I bi? Am I asexual? And even to the point where Maya is having a phantom pain for something she's never had, which I thought was fascinating, that she had this want. Had this want. Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna get an air horn because I need an air horn for it.
Yeah.
So
when you read this book, like the thing that kind of unfrustrated me a little bit was you go through the family's frustration and the corrections, and Maya's mother during a certain scene in it where Maya's mother's portrayed as just hitting a wall, basically, like, I'm trying and I'm still screwing up.
Yeah.
But going through it and seeing the struggle Maya goes through just trying to figure things out, and then their sister, Air sister, comes in and goes, well, you're genderless, like, makes that comment, and she's he's like, A or E, I'm not sure the pronunciation, I'm sorry, like, they don't really give you a breakdown of the pronunciation. If it's A or E, sorry everybody, I'm trying. This is going to be a little struggle, but I am trying, and these are new pronouns for me that I just learned in a day.
Now imagine having to think about that in 2 different languages.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yes.
Imagine how awesome it is trying to form a sentence that makes no sense in Spanish and makes no sense in English, and you don't know what to do with that. It's not fun.
I learned a lot from this. I felt this was eye-opening for me, of just, since I had nobody in my life going through this, or nobody I could talk to, or nobody. Gambit and I have a friend who considers themselves asexual. So I have a little bit of like introspection on that, but most of the other stuff, I haven't had anybody in my life go through it. So seeing the struggle and the thought process, and also with the family, it opened my eyes a little bit, and seeing them struggle as well with the pronouns, like, I think that was the thing that got me. Like, I'd get frustrated getting corrected, and it's like, I'm trying, but I'm fucking up constantly.
Yeah.
Like, not consciously, just
constantly. Sure. It's something that it's not easy to do. It's introduce new words to your everyday vocabulary, and especially if you're doing it, if you're actively thinking that you need to introduce this way of speaking into your vocabulary, because now you are, when you think about it, it's just doesn't function for some reason. But it's not that different from when we pick up some new expression on the internet, and suddenly in a matter of weeks, it's part of our vocabulary like that. No problem. It's because we don't think about it. It's because it just happens. It becomes part of our way of speaking or texting, and we're not. It's just normal. It just happens. But when we are actively trying to introduce these words, we are actively thinking of how is this word used, and that's I think that's where the problem is, when we are thinking too much about it, I guess, like giving it way more.
When you stop thinking about it, it becomes.
Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that before I even say it. It's not when we don't give it the importance because it's really important. It's when we don't. I don't know how to explain it, but I guess when you compare it to, like I was saying, when you get you learn new words on the internet every day. I learn something, and I have to try to be up to date because I have a young kid. I need to be able to communicate with him. He's 21, so I need to be able to understand what a 21-year-old says. And when you're not actively thinking about it, I can sit down and talk with my son, and we can talk about things, and he can understand me and I can understand him, and we are speaking the same language. Because, like I was saying earlier, it's just normal. It's part of the process. And with these pronouns, there's people that are actively avoiding trying to learn. You know, there's people out there that just don't, you know. But I guess that for people like me that are trying, I guess when I'm trying too hard, and what I do is just fuck it up. You know what I mean?
It's when you're thinking about not fucking it up and you end up fucking
fuck
it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. So I know I know at some point I will fuck up. I know I fucked up at some point, and I've apologized when that has happened. You know, and I usually correct myself. I try to catch it and correct myself immediately. You know, I've learned a lot in the past 5 years, 6 years, and I know that I'm going to learn a lot more, you know. And this book, if it wasn't because Jennifer recommended it, I would never have picked it up. I like Dan said, around here we wouldn't have found maybe Famous Faces would have had a copy, you know, maybe because it's a really big store. But other than that, if this is not a book that I would have stumbled upon it or pick it up, you know, because I feel like a book like that I am not the target, because I understand and well, I don't understand everything, but I don't have a problem, you know. I don't have an issue with people identify with how they identify or how they choose to, you know, show themselves, their true self to the world. I have no problem with it. So it's not, I feel like sometimes these books are not made for me. So I would have seen this and I was like, this is not for me. This is for someone who needs to be more educated. You know, this is for someone who's a little bit more close-minded. But I have to say that I was wrong. I enjoyed this book way more than I honestly, not that I was not going to enjoy it. Now I find myself, you know, like, wait, and this is something I want to talk about is that feeling that you're on the edge because you're always afraid that anything you say will fuck something up, you know. So yeah, I enjoyed the book way more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. I know it was going to be a good book because Jennifer has never done us wrong when she recommends something.
Maybe for Monstrous.
Maybe for
I don't think
Monstrous.
anyone liked it. I think that
Maybe for
Nobody
like,
liked
No, it was a little bit more different.
This was a quick read.
It was a quick read. It was a very interesting read. I had myself questioning a bunch of stuff, you know. I had myself rethinking about a bunch of stuff about who I am, me personally. And it made me put a bunch of stuff in perspective. And I learned about the it has a name because it says Spivak. I'm hopefully it's Spivak pronouns. I'm hopefully I'm saying that right. You know, that is something that I learned through this book. I've never heard of that before, you know.
There was that term, the or something androgyny or androgynous. I forget. It was the long term that Maia described.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Maia. There is a scene in here that also, like, it kind of made me feel good when Maia's classmates are all correcting each other with the pronouns, and it starts out as frustration, and then as it goes on, it's just like, oh yeah, you're right, and then just it moves on. So it's like, okay, you're not always going to be, it's not going to like frustrate you because you're trying to rewire your brain, and it's the only way I can explain it. It's like changing the OS in your brain and adding something in there that you're not used to having in your daily lexicon. And that scene, for some reason, for me, like I messaged Jen this morning. I was like, thank you for picking this. This actually kind of helped me in a way I wasn't expect to be helped, because I understood things where, again, if you don't know someone in your life, and this being a biography and seeing it visually play out for you, and all of the like mental gymnastics Maia's trying to do to understand.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think like what you're talking about with, you know, the difficulty of learning these new pronouns. I mean, yeah, it's easy to learn a new word and add it, but it feels like you're replacing words, right, in your vocabulary, and that's what makes it challenging. And I think I also kind of wanted to relate something about this to something in Star Trek, one of my favorite Star Trek moments, which is
Jen's language.
We just became like even more best friends.
Yeah, when I'm wearing my Fifth Element shirt, I don't know if you saw that too. So, but there's an episode where it's in the season 2, so Dr. Pulaski, and Dr. Pulaski keeps referring to Data as Data, and Dr. Pulaski, and at one point Data corrects her, and she goes, "Oh, Data, what's the difference?" And he goes, "One is my name, and one is not." And I kind of feel like that. I mean, that's a very simplified version of this, but some of what's going on in here is it's like, Maya is saying, "This is who I am, and these other things are not who I am." And and that like we're all talking about it, it can make it difficult because we're being confronted with the fact that maybe we're getting who someone is wrong, and we need to do better about getting who they are correct. And then that's challenging, and we're all going to try our best to kind of address that.
I think I found because I remember reading it when they're talking to Jaina B.
Oh yeah.
B says, I use the speedback pronouns air, as in ask him what he wants in her tea. So I guess we got the correct pronunciation. It's E. So ask him what he wants in her tea. It's basically taking out that TH from them and so and so. I knew I had read somewhere where it was pronounced or close to pronunciation.
I love that part too, Gambit, because like when you see Maya's face in it, the
sparkles
face, just like he falls in love with the pronouns right there, and you can see it. And I love that as a moment. That's just so cool.
I love that I'm not the only one with a bunch of post-it notes in the book.
I'm all about that.
I was just about to say, as soon as I saw all of those post-its, I'm like, I need to peep those post-its. That's beautiful.
I'm not gonna lie, I had to put the book down at one point when I saw how much of a fan Maya was of Harry Potter. And I was like, oh, you have no idea what's coming in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
right.
So if anyone needs to read this book, can we mail? I'm willing to sacrifice my copy. I will buy 100 copies and just mail them to J.K. Rowling. Let's J.K. Rowling. I know you watch the show. Fuck you for being a turd, first of all.
Right.
But
I
would
would
love to talk to you.
I don't think it's worth to send that to her. She's not worth it.
You're
She's
right.
not worth it.
Maya talking to the Aunt Sherry and that whole dialogue where the aunt is like thought it was anti-feminism.
Oh, yeah. I think that was a really interesting conversation. And before we continue, for the people that are watching on the repeat or now live, we are kind of
Jumping around.
We're jumping around through the book. We're not doing the usual almost page by page, chapter by chapter thing that we usually do. So bear with us. It's
an interesting conversation.
Yes, the idea is that you pick the book.
Goes on for hours.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question and interesting book. So yeah, just stick around and bear with us as we go through the book on a non-linear timeline.
It's all made up and the points don't matter.
Thinking that FTM, trans, and genderqueer young people as something other than a kind of misogyny. And that stopped me, like a deeply internalized hatred of women. And I stopped and I was like, that feels like a jump, but I don't know if it's an old school thing with like
an old school train of thought.
Kind of like, well, this can only be hatred of women, where it's not taking in just how you're internally feeling.
When reading that part, I recalled a moment several years ago whenever I had just watched the vagina monologues. by Eve. Is it Eve Ensler? Is that her name?
Yes.
That's right,
So I had watched the Vagina Monologues by Eve Ensler, and one of the things that she had done was which it's a very, very powerful, like, at least for me at the time, like, 10 plus years ago watching it. But there was a way that she ended up saying, like, hey, people can put on local productions of the Vagina Monologues, as long as, like, it's a community theater type thing, and as long as you donate proceeds from it to, like, a women's organization, or, like, that the majority of it goes to charity. And at the time, there was a discussion about whether or not trans women were allowed to be a part of the production, where basically in the rules she was stating, no, only women assigned female at birth, AFAB, are allowed to be a part of this, and blah 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 blah. And that just felt really fucking shitty to me. Not necessarily that I want to say that I understood it, but I think that when we think about radical feminism, and it's may feel excusable, but it's definitely not. But reading those parts definitely reminded me of, as radical as something like the Vagina Monologues can be, if you're excluding people, then it's not.
There's also the part where they said the conversation lasted until past 1 a.m. and the aunt's like, well, I know you're a grown woman, but she's like, I mean, you're a grown-up person, sorry. And they show all the stars, which she's like, yes. He says, thank you. Yes, thank you, sorry.
I think that it in that scene you see that it's not a conversation that you will have in a few minutes. What I like about that whole scene is when she says, I get it and all that, but I don't understand it, and I will keep asking questions until I do.
Mhm.
I can understand that. I can understand that feeling, because some of us ask questions not because we're trying to be assholes about it. It's because we need a little bit more information to understand certain things. It's not that I'm going to not going to respect you or anything like that. It's just that I want to understand, and in order for me to understand, it's by asking questions. I kind of understood, what Aunt was trying to say, and kind of relate to that in a way. I'm for me, identifying as a different gender to what you were assigned when you were born, it's not a big issue. It's not a problem. I grew up, and my next door neighbor were a couple of lesbians that lived together, that it was just normal that these two ladies lived together, and they were happy and they were enjoying themselves. They great neighbors. One of them used to do my hair when I was a little kid, and across the street, one of my friends' aunt was transgender, and just a normal thing. I mean, being in where I was at the time that it was, there was of course the occasional using that person as a butt of a joke and stuff like that, as kids can be when they think they're being funny. But it was a normal thing, aside from the occasional horrible joke that was completely out of line. It was a complete normal thing to see this person come in and visit their nieces and their mother and their father, and be just another person, just another woman that just walked into the house. It doesn't matter that when they were born they were assigned a different gender. So I honestly don't understand the hate towards gender identification, when if I'm saying it correctly. I honestly don't understand the transphobia, and honestly don't understand the homophobia. I that is something that I legit don't get, and I don't think that any amount of questions will ever make me understand that, because it's so normal. It's so normal that.
If you don't mind me asking, Gambit, because I know that you mentioned earlier that you feel like this book isn't for you, because you're accepting of all people, and you accept people as they are. So you say, like, this may not be a book, like, even though you enjoyed it, like, this book may not be for you. Do you feel like the people who would make a awful joke about that lesbian couple, do you feel like this is a book for them, or do you feel like this would be a book for someone is going through that, like, internal gender identity, like self-discovery?
All right. So obviously the people that will make jokes like that now, in this day and age, people that are obviously in the wrong side of this battle, need to read a book like this. But I don't think it's their book either. I don't think it's their book either. I think it's something that they should read it at some point in their life when they're more comfortable with their dilemma, because it's their dilemma. They're the ones that are having a problem with it. Everyone else is just having to pay for the consequences of them having that problem. I don't think the book is for them. I think this book would be better appreciated by someone who is going through some gender identification situation, like Maia was going through. It was rough, and sometimes you need some guidance. And if I would have read this book when I was growing up, I would have probably it would have probably answered a bunch of questions that I had when I was growing up. I grew up alone. I grew up alone, and something that I've always said, even since very early, is that I've always been I always felt that I'm in touch with my feminine side. That I'm very comfortable.
Your manicure.
Yes.
I saw your red toenails.
It's the first time I painted my toenails red. Like, it's the first time I get a pedicure. I've gotten manicure before, but I've never gotten my toenails painted, much less red. And someone said, I thought you would have painted them black. Of course you would have thought that, because that's how little they know me. And we'll go to that in a minute. I think this all happened, and it's so. Anyways, so I've always said that I have a very good connection with my feminine side. I have no problem using girl jeans. I've had no problem using girl accessories. Jesus, my glasses right now are pink, which is something. But what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
So I've always.
Gender is a performance, right? And so it's like you like stuff, and you're gonna wear it. You're gonna do it.
They're fucking comfy. The pants are comfy, and they don't sell bell bottoms for men that fit the same way. So I'm gonna use the next best thing. But I hate that. I don't understand.
That's
people
the
who make jeans.
For sure.
I don't understand why you do not give those jeans pockets. That's fucking stupid. Anyway, I will fight that fight. I will be an ally on that fight every day.
Thank you for being
That's the next.
ally.
That's the next front. That's the next front is more pockets.
So I've never had problems wearing accessories or painting my hair red, going to the beauty salon every Friday and getting my hair done, now painting my nails. I've never had a problem with it. And I was made fun by some people at some point. From my toenails yesterday, I got people making fun of me. People that know me from years ago that have seen me do weirder shit, It's like, and why do you think this? It's like, you draw the line at me painting my toenails red? What?
Have they not been to goth clubs?
Have they not been hanging out with me for 10 years before I moved? Come on. It's like, we were bandmates, some of us, They know, and it's a little bit frustrating, and going back to what I was saying and why this is relevant with the book. If I would have read this book growing up when I was having all these issues, it would have been it would have been great. You know, it would have sat really, really, really great. You know, I would have had a bunch of answers because I didn't know. You know, is it because I'm gay? I don't know. You know, I don't feel attracted to men. I don't like men. You know, not in that way. But I don't have a problem saying, hey, okay, that dude's hot. You know, and right now I've lived my whole life like that, no problem, and it has never affected me. It's just normal. And Rebecca, it's super and takes it as normal as it is, you know. So I never been around people who, well, I just said that, but I always thought that it was it's joke. But now older now, and I see that they still think that way. It's like, wait, so it's not that they were just teasing me for, you know, to have fun. It's because probably they just think that it's wrong. So my point is, a book like this would definitely help someone who's going through those issues. And spoiler, at the end, when Maya is talking about coming out to her class and their air class, and how maybe telling the story would help someone, you know, be like, oh, you know, maybe. But I like to think that well, not like to think, it's obvious that the book at the end, it's
the outcome
is a coming out book. It's like, hey, it's in case you guys didn't notice, you know,
in the title.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry, I'm sorry. I'll shut up now. I kept going.
I wanted to add on to what you're saying, Gambit, because I listened to a few interviews with Maya after reading the book, and one of the things Maya said about Air's story is that, you know, they didn't think there was any, or he didn't think there was any conflict in their life. That they had that he felt like he had a pretty easy experience. I mean, you know, there's the turf adjacent aunt, of course, but
the parents were very,
for the most part,
crunchy hippies.
Yeah,
I think,
and that's what Maya said. You know, they grew up with a lot of support. They were pretty hippie. But somebody told Maya at some point, you know, the world needs more stories about queer people whose families love them and accept them. And I think that was what Maya was kind of putting into this book, was that, like, pretty much all the conflict is this internal conflict. And I actually found that, like, I'm a cisgender man, but I found a lot of that conflict relatable in a way, because I've also had internal conflict in figuring out who I am. And even though it wasn't the same things, like I didn't have, you know, dysphoria about my body, I didn't have confusion about my pronouns, I still had growing up confusion about who I am. And, you know, and Maya also talked about being a late bloomer to things, like not learning to read until they were 11.
The reading was the one I was like,
yeah,
oh, Maya's parents, shame.
Yeah.
What I have to say about Maya and Air's reading. So Maya and I, it sounds like are the same age, and it sounds like we both grew up reading Tamara Pierce. And I do have to highlight this set of novels, and it's about Alana, who ends up Alana wants to be a knight, and she's supposed to be sent off to be a nun, and ends up stealing boys' clothes, and her brother ends up wanting to go and be
little Joan of Arc.
Yeah. So, well, her brother wants to be like a wizard or something. It's been a minute since I've read these, but when I saw that Maya had read these as a child, I screamed, because we're both around the same age. We were both 3.5 in 1992. So anyways, yeah, sorry.
You were what age in 1992?
And I was 3.5 years. So, you know, we were reading the same books, and it sounds like there were a lot of things that felt very parallel. So I just wanted to bring up, since we brought up reading, I had to say, I really loved it. And I recently also picked up Fun Home by
Oh,
Alison
yeah.
Bechdel.
That's great.
And it felt very similar to me in the way that Allison is a lesbian, but comes out to her family, finds out that her father was queer, very closeted. But the parallels between this two books is the love of reading, and that's something that obviously I really enjoy.
The reading chart that
Yeah.
Maia does in it, I thought was great.
Yeah, I think it was insane, and I can see why. I can see how I could only think about you, Jennifer, and your experiment last year,
It's
trying
been
to
a
read
year.
100. Yeah, I know it's been a
That's
year.
wild.
Trying to read.
Not trying. Sorry, I keep thinking that it's happening. You
It's
know,
because I
keep thinking
mocked
that it's
Jennifer.
happening.
Yeah, she did it out of spite.
I did. At the end, I think I ended up with 107 graphic novels in 1 month.
Just out of anger, I'm gonna read 7 more.
There is a music video / song by Bad Sons called Salt that shows gender conflict in it that I shared with Jennifer a while back. It's a very artful video that shows a man and his fight, knowing that he actually knows that he'd be happier being a woman, and going through it, and then cross-dressing and end up getting beat up for it. Like it's a hard video to watch, but at the same point you're seeing just the struggle mentally and how they were looking at themselves in the mirror. So it's Bad Sun Salt. Like, give it a watch. It's a good song too. I've talked about on the show before, my family is very fucked up. Like, I learned that my parents were racist from a New Mutants comic book when Kitty Pryde went on a rant and I saw these words that I'd seen my parents use.
Oh, wow.
So I had a very Italian family on my dad's side. To say toxic misogyny and masculinity were prevalent. They made jokes about an uncle I had that I never got to meet because they excommunicated because he was gay. And every Christmas they made fun of him, but I had no idea who he was. But they made fun of him because he cut hair and, called him a fanook and all this other stuff, and which I didn't know at the time. Like, horrible fucking people. And had I had a book like this or known actual people in my life that they let near me, I could have learned a lot, but I was sheltered, because they're my family, but they're fucking horrible people. And I had to fight against basically what I was being talked about around me my entire life. I love my mom, but I'm never going to lie and say that she was not deeply flawed. So this is things in my life where it took people in my life coming out to me and me sitting down asking them about it. And there's a way to ask questions that doesn't come off as offensive. If you have a true honest dialogue, and that's what I needed to have, it helped me a lot. And not having someone in my life going through this, having this book to actually look at and see the internal struggle, I feel helped me as a person.
To your point, I feel like, as accepting and as open as, because I know that I feel like that's how I would describe myself, accepting and open. I think especially there's been a lot of dialogue too about unlearning a lot of racism. And even if you think that you're one of the good white people, you can still be racist without racist intent. And part of that conversation that I feel like I've been learning is, even if you have friends who are people of color, do you go to them asking them questions? Do you go and say, can you tell me about how, and I'm just, gonna paraphrase here, but hey, can you tell me this about Black culture? Hey, can you explain this to me? Hey, can you explain what a hot comb is? Things like that. And I think that even something that I feel like I'm learning is not to put that emotional labor on people of color, because people of, even as great friends as they are not here to educate me as a white person on all this dumb white person shit that I've learned. So I feel like in that same way, books like this help educate me, because I do have friends that I'm now learning not only use they them pronouns, but also use the Spivak pronouns. So instead of asking M, can you explain all of this to me and use some of that emotional labor, unpaid emotional labor, to educate me? I have this book, and I feel like it's good to get a personal perspective from maybe friends who are willing to share, but learning that it's not their responsibility to educate us, that it's our responsibility to educate us. So even as someone who would, like I said, scream that I'm a social justice warrior, I feel like even people who think that they're getting it right should also read this, who want
definitely.
to, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, because like I said, I thought it was not that I was like, this is not a book for me. I thought that I didn't need to, not that I didn't need to learn more, because, but I didn't need to get it from a comic book. That I did that one. I can, whatever doubts I have, I can actually do some research. But after reading it, definitely read it. I told Rebecca, I think you will enjoy this book, and I told my friend Cynthia the other day, my friend that we went to get our pedicure done, I said, I'm reading this book for the podcast on Saturday, and it's really good, and as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna lend it to you so you can read it, because it's actually a very good book.
I feel I'm gonna gift this to somebody.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I mean, I would prefer that someone buys it, but and a gift, it's still a good thing.
Just if there's someone I know who could use to read it, or maybe they're going through it.
But you have to be very, very careful to who you give it to, because you might give it to someone that you think might appreciate, and they'll be like, I don't need to read this bullshit, and throw it away. You know what I mean?
Well, you listen first before you make that judgment.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I was just thinking, we're having this is a great conversation about a lot of the serious topics in this book, but I just wanted to say one of the things I loved about this book is there's a lot of funny shit in it. It's some funny stuff. And I hope
the slash fic.
I hope people, there's just so many, there's legit, I would read it usually at night, and I'm laying there and and my wife's next to me, and I'm like, I laugh out loud at something, and then I kind of explain the joke, which is always, when you're deep in a book and you explain the joke to someone that's not reading it, it's weird, but there's just the slash fic thing. There's the my favorite one part that I kind of related to in a way, again, a cisgender man, but growing up in Wyoming, that's where I grew up. So if you think you grew up in a red state, hold my beer. But I started going to a Unitarian church and going to a Unitarian youth group, kind of that my parents were not part of, and that ended up sort of opening up this world to me, of just, there are people that are not just men and women, and that men don't just kiss girls, and it's galaxy brain, but the part about the was it the QSA, the Queer Students Association?
Yes.
Yes, that part I really related to that, because it started out as this, we're going to learn about each other, it's going to be this important kind of social thing where we learn, but then it turns into a Lord of the Rings fan thing where they just speculate on which characters are gay, and that's actually and that's actually my experience in the youth group. In the same way, I was we're learning about the prison industrial complex, and we're learning about how homophobia is ruining things. We're learning about racism, but also then we'll just talk about whatever weird Monty Python thing we'd be referencing to each other, and that's what it would devolve into, is just us joking with each other, and so it just became this community where you have friendship, and that was a really great part in the book, I thought.
There were some really good parts. A part that hit me was Maia and her partner at the Comic-Con, when the runner kept saying ladies, and Maya's offended, as well as her partner, but they're both kind of I'm annoyed by this, but I'm not going to say anything. And they just show the guy keep hammering it over and over and over.
Yeah. And having been to a lot of Comic-Cons, I can picture that guy like in my mind. Like I know exactly who that is, and he probably means well. But,
Need a water table? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, totally.
Yeah, there's definitely a few of those in every convention, especially when you're behind the table. That's a thing. That's a thing.
One of the almost unexpected pieces of
Johnny Weir.
no, but one of the kind of unexpected things of this book, I probably wouldn't give this one to a younger child because there are some conversations and explorations of like of sex. So I'd probably probably need to be like 13 plus. And I thought that was pretty interesting because even though gender, if someone how someone's gender identity is obviously separate from their sexual attraction. I think the two go hand in hand, and it was an interesting conversation to like parallel have. But even Maia, as they are exploring Air's gender, Air's also exploring Air's sexuality and these things about genitals and these sexual fantasies that Air is having. And I thought that even that was another added expression on top of it, and how nuanced and layered that is, because even as we're having the conversation of there isn't just men and there isn't just women and there aren't just non-binary people, like it's not like she, him, they, there's also asexual people, and that gender fluidity and sexual fluidity. Even that, I thought that conversation, even though there was some struggling moments and some moments where Maia talks about some intense pain that they experienced
the art
during
also
it, that they experienced during some moments, I thought it was uncomfortable, but it was a needed conversation about that.
My explaining to the mother about they show the art of half woman, half man, and that's how she feels that she was born as both. Yes,
beautiful.
I thought that was a great splash page.
That I had that one bookmarked. That was the only like bookmark that I had because I thought that was beautiful.
And for some reason, it hit me with Maia laying in the field, clutching the straw, like imagining it was a penis, and then just if someone walked up, it would just crumble and just blow away. And that's where I was like, kind of like the imagining like a phantom pain. It was something I never would have thought about, like, because phantom pain, you always like
a limb is missing.
Yeah. But something you've never had, but you're still feeling this loss.
Right.
I felt that was an interesting take that I never would have thought of or even would have crossed my mind. Again, it answers questions in your head, the book, and at the same time, like, I feel like it opens you up to want to know more also. But I will commend Maia on having the bravery and honesty to write and draw a book like that, as we see in the first couple of pages, where the teacher is telling the class, write your secret,
your demons,
and then Maia pulling the picture off. The book is so honest to a degree that, like, there are parts it's painful to read, just of what he is going through.
Yeah, and I got the sense, so when I was reading it, what I was thinking the whole time, and then especially like when I finished it, is, this is why I really love the medium of comics, and in particular, like, it's so good for memoir because, typically in memoir, comics are going to be one person doing the whole thing, and it just adds this personality to it because one person's hand is creating the imagery and it's their story, and I feel like you can really feel that this is a very unique individual's very unique perspective on their very unique life, and it's just not something like I don't think almost any other medium. I mean, an essay or a prose novel like could do well with that, but the imagery Maya creates is just so beautiful with a lot of these things that you're dealing with. And then, film, I feel like if you zoom out too much, there's just too many layers of stuff. Not that you can't make a personal film, but just it would be too big. And I just love that in comics, you can just, if you have the imagination and the story and the will to like put out that story, you can really make something cool with it like that. And that was the other thing I just loved about this book. And also just echo, I think that Dan and Gambit, what you said, I don't think I would have read this if you guys hadn't have had it for this book club too. So thanks for having the book club.
Shout out to Maya's sister Phoebe who colored this.
Yes.
Cool as fuck sibling, as we see in this book.
That's great. Yeah.
I needed to give a shout out and appreciate her because again, it's great seeing siblings group together and do this, especially a sibling who was so supportive during Maya's journey.
That was I thought that was perfect. I thought that the perfect situation, to have the sibling that understands and you can go to and say, hey, this is what is happening,
And the sister is queer as well, so they were having a dialogue, which in that family, I don't feel like that dialogue ever would have been an issue because the dad was cool as fuck. And there is a scene in there that I love where Maya discovers David Bowie for the first time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
because of a crush.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bowie during, Maya's discovering later teen years, I believe, where like younger for Gambit and probably Scott and I, like, the ladies love Bowie, but the dudes loved him maybe more. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Which honestly, that's how I felt too when I heard Bowie.
Labyrinth?
I mean, there's no other word. There's no other way to feel.
No.
It's like it's Bowie.
Labyrinth was so sexualized. I mean, Jennifer Connelly. Good God, she has aged perfect. And Bowie, even before he died, like, you would have never guessed how old he was.
Yeah.
Ever. That movie hasn't come out in 4K. If it does, I'm gonna have to buy it because I haven't watched it in forever.
I have a copy. So it's in storage, like all my movies. Got sad for a second there.
There was another uncomfortable part where Maya's working at the library at school. Yes. And when the girl comes in with the crush and just Maya's panic.
I thought that the first time, because she panics the second time. I panic the second time the crush shows up, but the first time I thought it was like it's
mocking her.
You didn't notice that, It's like the dude's like, she's looking for these types of books, and you're like, dude, come on, don't be that obvious. And Maya's like, there, I guess, like whatever, man. It was like super obvious. And a few pages later, the same girl comes in with her friend.
Hey, Justin. Like I loved even the anime. I'm embarrassed. I'm going to run away. I have to go. Bye.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, that felt like an intersection of like Saved by the Bell and like a Seinfeld bit.
A little bit.
Where you're just like, this is awkward.
I know we talk about how serious the book is, but there are some genuinely funny moments to go with the kind of incredibly shy, uncomfortable moments. And Maya is very endearing as the character in their own book. We'll go to that part of the book of the show where we talk about would we recommend it and our final thoughts. Gambit, I'll have you start.
Oh, damn. You guys talk about the funny moments, and although I identified those funny moments, I legit couldn't laugh at them. The one that I thought that was cute. Well, I mean, I thought they were like, oh, that's cute, but I feel like it was so serious, for me. I was reading this book with such a serious tone that when a joke when a joke would show up, I'd be like, it's not that they're not funny. It's that at the moment I read them, I is it okay to laugh? Is it not okay to laugh? I mean, it's okay to laugh. That's why they're funny. But I just found them more cute and endearing than funny. Like, because I could relate to some of those funny moments, and it's funny to see Maya freaking out and running away because this person has a crush. Uh, uh, but all I'm thinking is like, oh, that just feels fucking horrible, because I've been in that situation. I've been
Yeah,
in both
cringy.
fucking sides of that conversation. I've been in the side where like, I kind of like you, and I've been in the situation where someone comes like, I like you, you know and you don't know what to do. So it just like I just felt for the situation. It's like, oh my god. So I don't want to laugh because I feel like no, it hurts. It's uncomfortable more than hurt. It's uncomfortable more than pain. um there's Yes, I would recommend this book. I will pass this book along. I hope that whoever reads it next pass it along too, because it's worth the read. I enjoy it uh, from the beginning to the end. I honestly thought I was not going to enjoy it as much as I did, and I did enjoy it. And like I said at the beginning of the show, it opened my eyes to some questions that I had. It answered some of them. It made me think back, to when I was growing up and finding who I was. I feel like I found out who I was very early, but before I found out who I was, it was a bunch of shit happened. A bunch of shit happened, and there was a lot of doubt, and there was a lot of confusion, and there was no one for me to ask questions. My mom wasn't there, my dad wasn't there, my sister had moved to the States, so I was living alone since very early, and there was no one else I could ask a question of, or tell them what I was going through. And that's when comic books come into my life, and comic books take
Yes.
keep my mind, I guess, in the right track. That's why I feel so much for this medium. it's
Mhm.
it's it's very important to who I am today, and the things that I accept as normal are in part thanks to the things that I've learned through this medium. So it fills me greatly when a book like this comes into my hands, where it's telling a real story, when it's telling us a story that, even though I 100% was sure that I was not going to enjoy it, it 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 gave me a few more lessons. It schooled me on some things, and even though I thought I was, yeah, I'm okay, because I understand my friends. I accept my friends. They can come to me. They have come to me when they have questions. They so I'm a safe space. They know that it, I understand them, and they know that I understand them. That I am not going to judge them. So I don't need to be re-educated, but it's it's not just a re-education. It's a very, very, very good story, telling telling something really, really difficult to tell. It's exposing your struggles like that. You know how many scripts I have of me telling my story, and they're just that, scripts or thumbnails put in a drawer, in a corner, where I hope I don't have to finish them anytime soon, because I don't want to deal with those things. But this it brought those things back. I should finish it. I should tell this story, because, like me, there's someone out there that might benefit from reading what happened, and how I dealt with something. So seeing that journey, and again, spoiling the end, seeing that at the end, still at the end, well, basically, I'm assuming that the end is the beginning of this. It's like, at the end, it's still I haven't come out to the kids, to anyone, out of fear, because it's that, it's fear, and it's a legit fear. Jesus, it's a legit fear, you know. It's horrible. So I feel like that ending is the beginning of finally saying, I am going to do this, because it needs to be known. People need to know it. People need to read it. There's a few things in the book that, like you were saying, I wouldn't give it to a kid yet, because there are things that a kid doesn't need to read just yet. You know, there's
it's too much,
too raw. I think it's too raw. You know, I think it's too raw. It's too raw. Unless, you know, it's a kid that it's going through some through a similar thing, and it's having similar questions. You know, with proper education, you can give this to someone that's at least 13. You know, maybe younger than that. Because there's some sexual thing that, although I do believe that you should educate, you should give sexual education to kids very early on, so that they understand, because we are where we are because of the lack of education on everything, you know, on everything. The lack of education on everything. That's why we are so stupid as a society right now, you know. But yeah, I would recommend this book. I would definitely. I love it, and I would recommend it. And it's a great book, and I give it a 10 out of 10, because it did. I feel like it did what it was supposed to do. You know, it made me think. It made me question certain things about myself too. You know, like I said, the other day, yesterday I painted my toenails. You know, and still, and yesterday, even after I posted that picture and seen a bunch of comments, like, wait, you know, it took me back to a bunch of thoughts that I might not want to.
Toxic masculinity is out there stronger than ever right now.
Dude, I grew up in Puerto Rico in the 80s. You know, there's no more, you know, you know how many times, just because of me wearing girl jeans, I was asked if I was gay. That's an everyday. Like, me having long hair, that's gay. Me listening to Alanis Morissette, that's gay. I'm not joking. I come from, like, if you think that toxic masculinity here in the States it's a problem, you have not lived in a Latin American country. Like, it's a. You want to know how toxic how toxic the masculinity in my household was when I was growing up. My growing up nickname is Macho, which translate to male. That's my nickname in Spanish when I was growing up. Male. Like, I was born, and my sister saw that I was a boy. I said, "Oh, eu macho," and that's my nickname, Macho. Like Macho Camacho, like Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho, it's exactly that, Macho. You know, it's
so
male.
Like, my dad called me a sissy because I had a Princess Leia action figure.
You know?
I struck out playing baseball. He told me I swung like a cunt, screaming that loud as hell during one of my little league games. I was 8.
Oh,
Nice.
things I've heard my dad say. Things I've heard my dad say about
Not in a pissing contest over toxic
Oh, no,
masculinity. It's a horrible one to have.
no,
I was
it's
about to get
not.
the popcorn.
No. It's I don't take it like that, and I hope you don't take it that way.
No. I was just like, I just started thinking. I was like, I'm not trying to one up here. Like,
No, dude. I personally think that's how I connect with people that way. People tell me a story, and I tell them a similar story that I went through, not because I want to one up it. It's because I feel like that's how I can say, hey, I understand. That's how I connect, you know.
I feel comfortable talking about it now. I'm at a place where I can talk about it because I understand how fucked up it all was.
Dude, I've never told anyone that that's my nickname. My nickname changed to Gambit in 1992. when I was graduating.
When this mutant showed up who threw cards.
Yeah, when I was growing up from ninth grade, I was introduced to the X-Men. It was Uncanny X-Men 245, I think it was, or 247. It's Gambit and Wolverine fighting with the yellow and blue uniform. It's drawn by Jim Lee. It's when they're fighting the Shi'ar in space. And those books, that's when before that I read comic books, whatever I had in my hands, but it was that book that I said, holy shit. And I want to know who that dude is, you know, and that's my nickname since 1992. And only my family knows that that's my nickname from when I was growing up. And I just blurred that out here in the internet.
So it's a safe space.
Is it right?
Totally.
But it's that's how fucked up that's how fucked up, you know, situation most of us grew up, you know. Jennifer was 3.5 years old. Wow.
Reading a ton of books. Apparently.
I won't even say how old someone I was dating was then.
So no.
Yeah, like, thank you for like saying that. Like, we've been blurting out a lot of like private stuff during this, but again,
Right.
like, I think to kind of show where we came from and the progress we're making and what just we've encountered growing up, especially, you know, we're from an older school. Like, I'm 76, you're a little bit later.
I'm 78. I'm 42
Oh, okay,
years
not that
old.
much.
Yeah. I'm 42 years old. I don't have a problem saying I'm 42 years old, you know, and
I look 32. I'll take it.
and in our media, you know, growing up, there was a character played by a man. Her name was Cuca Gomez, and she was everything. You know, she was according to the show, she was the cameraman, the writer, the director, the producer, the host of the show. Like, she would do everything, but it was played by a man, and that was seen as a joke, you know.
Well, also, like, when Steve Orlando was on with us talking about like queer representation for him growing up, where it was all these effeminate acting people, and like him trying to figure out, like, with his feelings, like how he's supposed to act because of what was out there in the media. I always thought that was interesting because, I mean, that affected how people saw how a gay man should be, or like in general. So like, it was an interesting conversation to have with him, especially talking about forced diversity. Yeah. Which if you want to go back and watch that, it's we had a creator spotlight with him, and it was fantastic. Scott, let's go into your thoughts.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I would definitely recommend this book. I actually have a few people in mind in my life. Kind of going back to like maybe talking about our own histories. You know, I have a friend I knew in high school and I've known to this day, who recently came out to me as being non-binary. And, you know, we both grew up in this same universe in Wyoming where, like, if you liked Prince, you know, like you were saying, people would weaponize the word gay at you.
Prince.
Because you like Prince, because you need to like Pantera. Like, it's the other P band. Which also, like, you could like both.
You can.
And Prince.
Oh, I like both.
Yeah, exactly. You can
Prince
like
also
both,
broke
exactly.
the pronouns. He became the symbol, which
there you go. Yeah,
became his
he's
own
just
thing.
Prince. He was just Prince.
He was the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah. And I frankly, like, if I'm being honest, I went through that gauntlet of Prince is stupid because I was young and I was like, oh yeah, that's the right way to think, is this guy's weird, so I can't like him. And then I think through making friends like this friend, I learned, like, actually Prince is an amazing musician. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you what Prince wears or thinks in their private life. Recognize that they're making amazing music, and then when you like free yourself to that, it's a wonderful thing. So that's kind of a tangent, I guess, away from the book, but you know, like that's something that I think this book gets at, is it's like, you know, look inside of yourself and figure that out, and hopefully you'll have a supportive, you know, again, it's modeling a supportive group of people around you, and hopefully more people get to have that. And actually, you mentioned Gambit, the coming out to the Girl Scout troop at the end, I think, or coming out to Maia's students.
Wanted to come out to Maia's students.
Yeah.
Find the bravery.
So in that same, I would so there's a podcast called Gender Reveal, which I think is kind of hilarious because I think it's a little bit of a dig at gender reveal parties, right?
When they burn down forests. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. But Maia talks about on that podcast that after the podcast had aired that it would have come out to air first Girl Scout troop.
Oh,
so I think Maia may have done that, which is really cool. That he's in the book, like the story continues, kind of like you're saying, is like that the end of the book is the beginning of the book in a way.
Yes.
Of the story. So I love that. So yeah, I would definitely, and I really want to see what Maia does next too. Like not only would I recommend the book, but I'm just kind of anticipating whatever Maia has coming out. I think doing children's books, but hopefully it would do another, graphic novel or maybe something periodical. I don't know.
I could see a speaking tour, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I would go to that.
Yeah.
We definitely need more education about this and a bunch of other stuff, and I think it does it does the job on educating without being preachy,
Mm-hmm.
Now I although I gave it a 10, although I gave it a 10, I do think there's some things in the book that like when Maia gets the pin with the new pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where they're talking about someone to make what's the word for that, networking with, and having the pin, and it were being referred to as her, and
yeah,
and Maia mentions that still with the pin on, but I feel like you walking up to me and talking to me, and we're talking, and just because you have a pin that has the pronouns that you want doesn't necessarily mean that I am going to understand that that's what you're trying to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
It's especially with these pronouns that I never even heard of before. If you stand up in front of me with a shirt that says that and it doesn't say anything else, only says em air, I will be like, okay, it literally, and I feel like sometimes, and this is I'm not saying that this is the case specifically. Sorry, I have a cable in the way. I'm not saying about this case but specifically, but it made me think that sometimes it is expected for us normal people to understand certain things and certain terms and certain ways of speaking without even it being presented to us in a manner that we can understand it, and I think that's where some people are having trouble making these changes in their vocabulary. It's because it is presented to them and not in a way that they have time, that they have the time to process it. Sometimes for some people, their way to be introduced to proper pronoun pronunciation and identification was during a bad situation. Like it's not, it's not this, it's that, and got into trouble for literally just being ignorant or being oblivious. It's the word, I guess, or for not knowing, because not all of us are up to date with everything that's happening out there. Like I said, not all of us has a young kid that you want to communicate with, and you have to be on top of the lingo of everyone these days. And I'm so sorry. And there's a lot of new stuff out there coming out right, at every moment. We're constantly learning and constantly learning new ways of communication, and sometimes for people it's just throw there at their faces, here, learn it, I don't care, learn it, and sometimes that's not the right approach either. I understand that sometimes we need to break that window in order to go in and fucking make a point across, but that's not always the case, and not everyone responds to that. That you know, oh yeah, I learn stuff every day, and I have to rewire my way of speaking every day. I rewire the way I caught myself speaking stupid when I was in Puerto Rico, saying things. I was like, wait, I don't speak like this when I'm speaking in English. Why am I doing it in Spanish? Oh, wait, this is how I used to talk. This is when I thought these words were normal to use, were not, didn't have a weight to them the way they do now. And now I can't I can't laugh to certain jokes that I read online from old friends. I'm like, it's not funny anymore.
I have noticed some job applications now ask you for what your pronouns are for them. So when they email you and when the interview happens, like it starts the dialogue. The Space Center started doing that. A friend of mine had just applied there and got called in for an interview, and that was part of their interview and pre-interview.
That's great, and that's the new way of things. That's the new way of things happening. The world is evolving. Us, we are evolving as a society, as people, and who's not to say that we are evolving as a race. As humans, we are starting to see changes and discover new changes in us that maybe before we didn't even know or thought or had the means to discover it was possible. You know what I mean? Like Maya, sorry, I said she, but Maya quoted a doctor talking about, what stays with me was the Lady Gaga was right. I was born this way.
Yeah.
There's scientific
Patricia
evidence.
Churchland.
Yes, there's scientific evidence out there now. There's legit. There's proof, like here, and it's just now getting that education out there, and
Jennifer?
sometimes we have to throw it at people, but sometimes we need a book like this, or sometimes you need to throw this book at people. You know what I mean? Sorry, I took over.
That's great. That's good stuff.
Love it.
Jennifer.
I think you could probably guess that, yes, I would definitely recommend this. I think that you had mentioned, Dan, I feel like this is going to be one of those books that I gift a lot of people. Not necessarily people who tell me that they are transitioning or that they are non-binary. I feel like this is a really important book. And one of the things that I feel like I personally have been learning, especially over this last year, is about gender. And, Scott, I think that you had mentioned it about how gender is a performance. And a lot over this last year, people being inside, not having to perform gender for a lot of people, for, whatever reason. I think that I've noticed a lot of friends, family let me know that they are non-binary, or that they, what pronouns that they use, and maybe that was different than the pronouns that I was introduced. I've found that even when I meet someone for the first time, it's been a habit of mine to ask people for their pronouns when I meet them, or to seek out their pronouns, because I've met a lot of people online, and it's usually in people's bios, and knowing that it changes. Someone that I knew a year ago could have he, him pronouns in their profile, but now it's they, them, and understanding that it's changing, and it's even for me, it's just important to respect when people say they are who they are. And I feel like this book just really dug into people. It's someone's humanity. And I don't know, I kind of went on a rant there. And I feel like Michael Scott, sometimes I'll start a sentence and not even know where I'm going with it. But I think that you get the point of how important this book is, and just to realize that, perspective. And as someone, I am cisgender, I was assigned female at birth, and obviously I'm female presenting. But even for me, when I think about even though I am feminine, I still think of myself as gender nonconforming, thinking about the expectations of women to get married and have kids, and I'm not that. So when I think even about like what is gender nonconforming, even though gender is a performance as far as how someone may dress, and I dress feminine, but I don't necessarily sometimes feel feminine. So even that book helped me have that internal conversation of, am I gender queer? Am I gender queer? Am I gender fluid? Like gender non-conforming? Like all of those things are separate, but they're similar. So I seriously feel like I just want to shout about this book from the rooftops. And even if people don't think that they quote unquote need it, I feel like everyone could get something from this book. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Definitely.
So
Dan, what did you think about it?
Mouse, Persepolis, genderqueer. 3 books done in the literary comic format that I feel are important and should be in every high school library.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
And also explores what comics as a medium can be and do. There's always like this weird, like, well, comics are for kids, comics aren't literature. And my answer is always, fuck you, read this. You can tell a story and have it tug at your heart just as much as A Tale of Two Cities.
Did you really like the MCU Thanos movies? Read genderqueer, you'll love it. Do you want to know what's going to happen in Loki? Read genderqueer, because Loki is gender fluid and canonically
Falcon Winter Soldier, read Persepolis. Like, comics can be anything the writer and artist, or if they're both, want it to be.
Definitely.
Like, Barbalian, to me, was one of the most beautifully written, told stories of what was going on for gay and queer people during the 80s and the AIDS epidemic. There is a page in there that fucking broke me. It was page 1 of the issue. And literally I closed my iPad and I was like, I can't. Give me a minute to refocus and try and get through this, because of how just much this one panel just told such a horrifying story. And it's beautiful, it's sad, it's heartbreaking. Yes.
Oh, it's in the Black Hammer universe.
It broke me. It tugged at my heartstrings. Like, this should be in every high school library.
Yeah, I agree.
100%, yeah.
I think it's important for a young person who has questions, maybe afraid to ask, which there's a ton of people who would be afraid to ask their parents. They don't have parents like Maia did, who were just very open, not pushing gender identity or anything. It was kind of find yourself. And I needed for myself to read and in pictures see some of this stuff. Like, I'm not perfect. I try. I fuck up with pronouns. Like, I try, though it's not intentional. Like, I trip over it. And seeing in the book family, friends tripping over it, like, I'm like, okay, it's not just me. I'm not the only idiot in this world who is struggling with this stuff. Like, and I'm getting better. It's just not to the point where I'm not thinking about it, where just unconsciously I can just do that without thinking. Because it seems like when I think about it is when I trip.
Yeah.
Kind of like Gambit said.
One thing that I remember reading a really long time ago was that, and it was a study about mothers who are about to, like, that are, still pregnant, and they were basically seeing are moms who buy the like what to expect when you're expecting, that like one of those type of like parental guidance books. And it didn't matter if the parent, or usually the mother, had actually read the book, even though they were the type of person who would reach out and just buy the book. Whether they read it or not didn't matter, but because they were the type of person who would just buy it, that usually determined a baby's success or child's success, or if they were a better mother, quote unquote. So I thought that was, you know.
I have questions, Jennifer. What's the
Oh no.
It's a book that promised you that you were going to be a better mother just by buying it.
Yeah,
it's
like the
one
idea
that like they recommend you buy, like for some reason. That and
Yeah.
Dr.
I mean,
every time I saw Dr. Spock, I was like, I don't need Leonard Nimoy showing me how to have a baby.
I mean, I
Logic dictates.
I guess, and I mean, it
all
doesn't.
the Star Trek stuff, and she's gone. Damn it!
Right? I don't. It doesn't surprise me. You know, it doesn't surprise me that a book like that exists, and it does not surprise me that a mother would be like, "Oh, I bought this book for my kid. That means I'm gonna be a great mother." You know,
there's gonna be a lot of pandemic babies being born in the next.
Oh my god, dude, for real.
I've been having Wi-Fi issues.
We noticed.
Sorry. Yeah. I like saw that because I have my iPad right here, so I'm watching it, and I just saw myself like get stuck, which is mood.
You missed my Star Trek humor.
Oh man!
Yeah.
I'm talking about Dr. Spock's baby books. I was like, I always thought I was like, I don't need Leonard Nimoy telling me how to have a baby.
Yeah. So, and if you probably already spoke about it, but anyways, whether or not a mother actually read a like baby guidance book, you know, didn't matter. Just because they were the type of person that would go out and reach out for that information was a better predictor on a child's success. So I think that being the type of person that would buy this and explore these types of things is usually like, it means that like you're a good person and you're trying.
It means that you're trying, but I mean, there's certain fights that we don't need trying. We need actually doing, you know, and that means actually reading the book, you know.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And if we want better parents to have better kids, you know, at this point, what I have left, it's just for David, you know. So I made sure that I tried to give David the best version of me for him to learn from. I also give him some of my bad experiences, so that he sees that, okay, I'm not perfect, you know, I'm not a god, you know.
What?
Yeah, I know people have trouble lately when I tell them that.
Don't believe it for
but everyone didn't watch Ghostbusters.
But
that's exactly what a god would say. They'd say that they're not a god. So
I tried to give David, you know, the best I could give him in terms of education, you know, so that when I'm not here, I know that what he's going to leave behind him, you know, he doesn't want kids. Cool. You know, that's something I wanted to talk about in the book, but we don't have time about that. He doesn't want kids, but I know that he's going to leave something behind with the people that he touches, you know, the people that he talks to, the people that he interacts with, you know, the people that he will have nephews, he will have nieces, you know, and he will, and it makes me hopeful that the generations after mine are growing up to be better people than we are, you know, and it makes me feel better that we have this, so that the generations to come have something to read, to reach out, to look for, to find and answer the questions they have. Because I wish I had a book like this when I was growing up, you know. Don't get me wrong, X-Men did me wrong, you know. X-Men kept me going for a lot of years, and Spider-Man was a shit, you know, but it didn't answer a bunch of questions I had, you know. I put some things together based on what I read and what I learned, and how I see that things that are good are supposed to be, versus how things that are frowned upon are not supposed to, you know. And but there's a lot of questions that nobody answered, that I answered myself. And now at 42, I'm like, maybe I didn't even answer those questions properly. You know what I mean?
Sydney would be so proud of you with all the Post-it notes.
Yeah.
Right? I was thinking about that earlier. Oh my God, when they see this book, I've never put so many Post-it notes in a book before, ever.
I highly recommend the book. I'm not at a perfect 10 like you guys were on it, but I'm in the high 9s, like 9.5, which it's high praise for me. I think there's only been 2 other books I've ever even put that high.
Yeah.
So go ahead and pick it up. It is available on Amazon. Order it through your LCS. Books with Pictures, of course, has a whole display with it.
That's where you got it, right?
That's where I got it.
Powell's, you could probably order it if that is your choice. Barnes & Noble, they could probably special order it for you if they don't have it in stock. I saw there's editions with award stickers on it, so it won something.
The Stonewall.
Oh,
the Stonewall Honor Book.
Yeah,
mine doesn't have that.
We had the Stonewall Honor Book edition.
I got you into the Stonewall variant. You gotta get the Stonewall variant.
We had the Stonewall variant.
You can track that down,
dude. Let's not go there.
Also, if people want to continue the discussion in the comments, I will make sure that our panelists get screen caps of it, or I tell them to come back to it.
Yes.
Of course, be respectful when talking about this, because I will report your ass.
Oh, yes. I'd say don't be respectful. Out yourself, and I'll fight you.
Oh yeah, that's the one good experience about posting the picture of my toenails painted red is that I see you.
Oh yeah,
I saw all of you.
Disclosure.
Yeah, I saw all of you.
So next Saturday night at 9 p.m., Jennifer and I will be talking to Carla Nappi about Duplicant. Excited to talk to her. She reached out to me and sent me PDFs, and apparently everybody else in the community.
She's a great person, man.
Yeah, so I'm working up a question list and stuff like that. You had said that you talked to her before, and she's pretty cool, and she really liked talking to you, so it just made sense. For July's book club, it is my pick, and Descender Volume 1 by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Wynn.
Nice. A book that I have. That's awesome. I don't have to go and buy a new book.
It's been one that I think that we wanted to talk about for a while, and after this, it seemed like a good time to complete 180 of something completely different and not as serious.
So good.
I also have our guests already lined up.
Oh, shit.
We'll be joined by Sid, aka Cartoon Sid, who
still
wants to.
This.
She wants to mouth off at me about not putting on my top image books when Jennifer and I did our list months ago. She still has a bone to pick with me, so that's going to be a topic.
Rightfully so.
We will also be. Shut up. We will also be joined by Read Across the Stars.
Oh, nice.
And we have a guest that Jennifer and I tried for months to get on the weekly show, who now has decided it's time to come on. We'll be joined from the Comic Lounge, Dillbot.
Dylan!
He's coming on with us for it.
Nice.
He has time since his wife is now with child. Yep. So Lilbot. So he will be coming on with us, and I tried for a year now to get him on, and I was just like, hey, we're doing Descender. Do you want to come on? I'm just throwing it out there. He's like, actually, yeah. I was like, wait, what?
Oh, no, shit. Oh, I was not prepared for you to say yes.
No, I really wasn't. Like, Sid was an automatic. Like, I was like, hey, we're talking about. She's like, listen, bitch, I'm coming on. I'm coming for you. I was like,
it's like, wow, okay,
Image put out a lot of books, and we were whittling down to a top 10 without using Wildstorm, mind you.
Yeah.
I haven't read enough Image to have a top 10. Have I? I mean, I think no, for real. I mean, I've read Saga, I've read Descender. Is that Image, right?
Yeah.
What else have I read from Image lately?
You've read a lot, but Jennifer and I, the top 10, like we were struggling. We're like, okay,
Killing children.
I haven't killed that. I haven't read that.
No. We were killing children in it, picking what to leave out.
Yeah. Speaking of Saga, I just got this beautiful bad boy.
Nice. How many copies do you have of a Saga book?
This one, I mean, I have this, all the single issues. I have all the trades. I have the kind of mini version of this, but this was one of the, I don't have 2 and 3, so I just got this, so now I can get 2 and 3.
No, obviously you need 2 and 3.
Yeah, you have to.
I talked Sheena into buying the omnibus for Sandman that went at $64 on Prime Day.
Yeah.
So now she owns it. Yes.
Oh, you did not send me that link.
I posted on Instagram stories. I did message Jen because I was like,
He's
I don't
busy.
know. He is very busy.
Listen. I missed my deadline 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, but I made it. I mean, I sent it.
Oh, okay. I thought this was another one. I was like,
no. It's the one that actually was a month ago because it wasn't the last episode that we talked about this. But I finished it that night, and I finished all of the cards. And this is the project that I got paid the fastest. As I was like, yeah. Oh, hi, Radhammer. This is Radhammer is my friend from Puerto Rico. We play every Friday. We play D&D on his channel. We have it's in Spanish, guys. Sorry, that's why I haven't invited any of you because it's in Spanish. But we play Dungeons and Dragons every Friday night now.
By the way, when I went to talk to Andrew today to plan out my tattoo, he's like, Gambit came over my house and just stared at the TV for a long while. I was like, what was on? He's like, I don't even know.
Oh man, it wasn't like that. I went to visit him. When was it? On Wednesday. Wednesday. I went to say hi and see him and Marla, and they were watching this movie called Alone on Prime. And it was actually very entertaining. I was like, and it kept me there. It's like it kept me there for like 2 hours almost. And it's the first time that I've had 2 hours to spend with my friends in like, because even when I was in Puerto Rico, that I was visiting my friends, it was like minutes, It was like, hey, I have to go back to tattoo. And then some of them had to actually pay to see me that weekend, like I scheduled a tattoo so that I could hang out with you.
Yeah. This friend and former coworker of Gambit's, he actually started my tattoos. So the sleeve he started, Gambit did most of the work, and now I'm having him do the last piece on my left arm to tie it all together. So snake eating its tail. So 2 hours of like, all right, how about if we do this? Okay, I was thinking the same thing. Like if we wanted to do this, so like we got it down now, but it's like just throwing stuff back and forth today.
I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, 2 hours just like BSing back and forth.
It's okay.
And then I picked up my comics, and that was disappointing.
I haven't been to the comic book store in 3 weeks now. I know. I haven't read anything. I haven't read anything except this. I haven't read anything. I am so behind on my. I am behind on my reading pile again.
Philadelphia, the newest issue, wasn't the best of them, but the issue before was really, really good.
Yeah.
I have to catch up. I haven't read anything after the first.
Thomas Jefferson is Lestat, basically.
Yeah.
He wears leather pants. He's a washed out rocker.
I feel attacked.
No. He literally dresses like Lestat in Interview with a Vampire and Vampire Lestat. I want to thank everybody for watching and being in the chat. I'm hoping,
especially, hi Sheena, if you're still here.
She was very excited about this episode. Basically, she's like, I'm here for Jen. I was like, great. Well, Gambit and the rest of us will just be decorations, I guess.
I'll go fuck myself.
Well, she was like, well, Jen's going to be leading. And I was like, well, yeah.
Yes.
What?
That's how it works.
It's your book. You kind of lead the discussion.
Yeah.
Also, thank you, Scott, for coming on. Like out of the, shot in the dark. I was like, Scott just posted about this. Fuck it. Let me see if he wants to come on and talk about it.
I mean, that's the whole point of a book club, right?
Yeah, totally. No, thank you for having me. It's fun. It's fun meeting you all in face to face, or you could see my face. Like it's less weird now because I knew what you all looked like and how you sounded and everything, and now you know what I sound like. So I won't feel like I'm just like spying on people on the internet.
No, you can spy. You can spy. Cool.
And thank you everybody that joined us on this 2-year journey of Gambit. Well, we still don't know what the hell we're really doing, but we just keep doing it so we can talk about what we love. And the show and my friends here helped me get through a bad year, and I appreciate the hell out of everybody. And thank you to all of our guests and Rodney Barnes for some ungodly reason coming on this show.
A second time.
The second
Yes,
time.
the first time was like, let me see if this works.
Oh man, that's awesome. I mean, but you remember when we started, where you were like, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's like, let's keep doing it. Fuck it, you know?
Yeah, it was Gambit and I sitting in my living room in a green screen, just like talking about stuff and going for almost 2 hours, just talking about the stuff we love. And then, like, of all things, the first episode, Stephanie Hans from Die like somehow found it.
Yeah.
And commented on it. I was like, oh no, she knows about my horrible history about making mixtapes now. Oh no.
You're like, I'm such a nerd, and now
I was
knows.
Oh my god, my nerd is showing.
It was very cool. And then like Mark Miller, like our Magic Order episode found, and Rick Remender like retweeted and stuff. And I know you don't have to start about Rick Remender.
Pretty cool. No, I mean it's still cool. I mean, it's still cool when you know when you notice, when you're noticed, when someone that you like or you like their work, go like, appreciate what you did. It's pretty cool. Feels
and
great.
the real change was going to the live streams and having other people on. Like it's.
Yeah, it was pre-recorded before. I remember.
Yeah, and editing for hours.
We hated editing. Yeah, because we would talk for more than 2 hours usually.
Yes, it would be editing and then like the uploading. I'd be like, I'm going to bed. Fuck this. I'll just upload in some time. But like it changed. Like I think the second live stream we ever did was when Jen joined us for the first time in Cinia, and Cinia just came on and just obliterated freaking Lock and Key.
That was beautiful.
Okay. So tomorrow, what time are you going on, Jen?
I think that we're gonna do...
I don't know. Let me check.
Yeah. So I think I messaged Mars today, and I'm like, hey, do you want to do like noon/3 o'clock? So it sounds like it'll be 3 p.m. Eastern time, noon my time, and then I get to actually sleep in a little bit, which is nice. So yeah,
I've pulled back from YouTube quite a bit, so I do like just the 2 or 3 shows. And Gambit doing commissions again.
No, that was a sketch that I did while we were talking.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I should be finishing a commission. There it is. I should be finishing a commission that I started a few days ago. That if my client is watching this show, is going to see the commission right now. But
Wow. Yeah,
so don't screenshot that. Don't screenshot that part yet.
And you can find Jen and I next Saturday on this channel at 9 p.m. Eastern. And Gambit, if you speak Spanish, you can watch him play Dungeons and Dragons
Every Friday night in Spanish in Radhammer's YouTube channel. We're playing Course of Strat in Spanish.
Oh, I'd watch it.
En
I
español.
think it'd be entertaining, even though I can pick up like 5 words.
You can. Okay, so here's the thing. It's more bilingual. It's more Spanish than English, but it's bilingual. We sometimes read things out loud in English, and sometimes we go back and forth from Spanish and English when we talk between each other, because that's the nature of our way of speaking. We go from a sentence in Spanish, halfway through it turns to English, then it goes back to Spanish, and then it goes into gibberish, and then we retract and we start the same sentence again. So there's a lot of that and a lot of laughing. Like the episode before this one was, we laughed so much. I'm just remembering and just starting to laugh again.
Was that Deathstroke on the?
Yes, that was Deathstroke's.
Carlito is my co-host for Celluloid and Scotch, and a huge Deathstroke fan.
Oh, yeah.
Scott, where can they find you and your art that you do?
Scott JHPDX on Instagram. It's probably the main place. That's my main social media. I'm
it's
on
in
Twitter.
The description as well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, go there, and then I have a link tree in my for my website. I have links to my Etsy, so if you want to buy my Doomtober art zine, do that, and hopefully I'll be filling that Etsy store up more soon. So that's the goal. And yeah, you can see pictures of my art and my dog on Instagram. So.
And memes. You post some really like fire memes in your story.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Stories.
Get in my stories and you'll see some pretty funny memes. I think I'm pretty proud of it myself.
You can find Jen and I messaging each other about fucking Dune being pushed back again.
Yeah, as soon as I saw
that
I'm like,
too.
Man,
Yeah.
you just told me that you requested October 1st off, and I'm like, haha.
Guess who's changing their days off again?
Try again.
I still got time. Like, it's just constantly like pushing the goalpost for me. I was like, come on, then it wasn't going to be on HBO Max. Then it's on HBO Max. Like, I'm seeing in the theater opening day. Like, I'm going to go do it because I need to see it in IMAX. Yeah. And then like, there's going to be a live stream reaction from us, and hopefully I can get the Spice Girls back together for one night only.
It may have to be the following day because I have a feeling that whenever it comes out, I'm just going to buy every show that I can go to. I'm going to go watch Dune over and over and over and over again until they kick me out. Yeah,
I'm just gonna get this. I'm gonna hit the Spice Girls, get together, and then hopefully Dune Messiah will happen. Hey, John.
Hey,
John, you made it for Dune Talk.
That's John.
All the time.
You made it just in time for the last 5 minutes of Dune Talk.
I have to say this really quick. So John this morning, because as you know, John's Saturday morning show is my favorite show to watch.
No bagels.
Him and his daughters. Yeah, they did have bagels this morning. So it's my favorite Saturday morning show to watch. And John mentioned Lost. And so I was you know, I'm going to go back and rewatch Lost. So I got like 3 episodes deep. So thank you for that, John.
I've never watched Lost.
Let's watch it together, man. It's good.
John might be joining Carlito and I for Celluloid and Scotch once we figure out the movie.
Nice.
We have 4 options right now. Our Alita show was actually like 78 views now.
I know John was mentioning it this morning. He mentioned how much he enjoyed it, and he went and watched Alita because of your show.
All right.
Nice.
I want to join on the Dune Live if that's cool. I got to see it in the IMAX.
Oh my God, this is getting intense. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like your wife Gambit is like such a low key Dune fan.
Oh no, she's not a low key Dune fan.
Oh, when she walked in, she's like, "You got Shai Halou on your arm." I was like, "Yes, your husband just finished that."
Yeah, she loves Dune. Oh yeah, it's one of the few things that she actually loves. You know.
I love that people are finding it and loving it and expressing their love for it. Yeah. My friend Nicole, who you did the saga tattoo and never finished on her leg.
Oh yeah, we have to.
She wants to finish it, but she just finished the book and she's like, it might be top 5 for me. Nice. She used 250 Post-it note flags on the book.
Okay,
wow.
That's
she loved it a lot.
That's a Post-it note per page.
And she was watching the Dune over along with it.
Nice.
And it helped her reading the book because she realized that she wasn't the only one that felt like an idiot when she first started reading it. It feels like it's insulting you, as Sid said, and Cinia was like, "Yeah, this fucking book just throws shit at you in gibberish." In the way that only Cinia can say it. But we've rambled on enough. We're almost on 2 hours. But again, thank you, everybody. And
yes, thank you.
Thank you, Scott, for coming on. I highly appreciate it. And if anybody learns from this book, picks it up, come find us on Instagram or comment on here and let us know what you think. We talked about a lot of personal stuff. And
yeah, we got into personal in this episode.
I think it was needed to a degree.
I was too sober.
I was not.
I was sober. I didn't even have any edibles or anything.
Oh no!
I only had 2 fingers of scotch.
Yeah.
But again, thank you, everybody, and we will see you next month, or join us next Saturday. And of course, subscribe to everybody and go follow them on Instagram. It's all in the descriptions, and look us up.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.